Our Lakeshore campaign features content that some viewers may find uncomfortable, including gun violence, drug use, and sexuality. For more detailed information, including full content warnings and transcripts, check out the show notes or our website, therealmscast.com. Previously on Lakeshore. Roman and Nox break into the Yanakis apartment to track down Kitty, only to find the place empty and ransacked. After Nox uses his demon powers to teleport to Kitty, Roman is trapped when one of Rex's hired hands sets the apartment ablaze, but she narrowly escapes by flooding the joint. Ileana crashes a Naturalist Society meeting, delirious and upset with her new access to Kitty's oracle powers. She strikes a deal with Susan to open a portal back to her home plane of Arcadia, and Susan agrees to sacrifice the demon Malorax as part of the plan. Heading to Jim Stevens' shop, she acquires the magical tools she needs to trap and kill Hazel's patron. Philip and Kitty continue to relax at their cabin resort, but when Kitty awakes in the middle of the night, she finds Philip missing and Nox suddenly in her room. The two find Philip in the parking lot, tracked down and held at gunpoint by Rex's goon Mickey. Nox and Kitty rescue Philip, with Mickey dispatched in a flaming car wreck.
Hi, I'm Jillian. I play Susan the Hunter. It is good to be here.
Hi, I'm Jory. I play Kitty the Aware, and it's good to be here.
Hi, I'm Eli. I play Roman the Fae, and it's good to be here.
I'm Jordan. I play Nox the Tainted, and it's good to be here.
I'm Jesse. I'm the MC, and I'm a ghoul who just wants to have fun. Welcome to Many Realms. Next morning, a clear, calm morning in Fairmont Park as Roman steps up to the stairs in the front door of the Fairmont Park Naturalist Society.
Which are currently under renovation.
Talk about the renovations, Susan. Tell me about what Roman sees as she approaches the society headquarters.
Sure, you see Susan out there with like a bunch of tools taking apart the stairs.
Solid.
Yeah, just kicking it with some tools. You know, I got, horribly shot the other day. Probably not the kind of labor I should be doing right now.
Okay, great. Is anybody helping you?
I feel like as the ladies show up, they'll start helping me, but it's probably the thing where I talked to Jim Stevens. I went back to the Naturalist Society. Funny because Ileana was like, "Do you live here?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." And I'm definitely still sleeping there. And then next morning, first thing, I'm like, "All right, got some construction to do."
Okay. Roman will maybe take the hammer, drill, some sort of tool, I don't know, out of your hands and be like, what are you aren't you bleeding out? Sit down.
Thank you so much for your concern, but there's a lot of work to be done here, so can I have that back, please?
I will give it back and start, I don't know, doing something idly that is I don't know, obvious that you should be doing under construction. I don't know anything about construction.
I'm not sure what you're trying to say.
I'm helping her.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. What's with the sudden renovations?
I spoke with Jim Stevens. You know Jim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we spoke yesterday and he gave me some useful rituals for trapping demons, and apparently there is an ancient altar under the steps of my Naturalist Society, which apparently has had long ties to demon hunting or magic in this park, so that's fun. Well, also, Ileana showed up yesterday.
Oh.
It's like, your whole life is crashing in on mine.
No kidding.
She is not all right. First of all, I have never seen a person more stressed and intense in my life. So maybe you know what's going on there. but she was going on about a storm and how she would like to leave. So I said I would help her open a portal because I'm going to sacrifice a demon, and the demon is Hazel's patron. So we're just going to get rid of the demon and solve Ileana's problems and hopefully my problems all at the same time. And I think you could help with that.
Whoa, okay, this is a lot. And she brought this demon to you, I'm hearing. Is that right?
Yeah, so, you were there when Kitty was getting attacked by the demon.
Right, and then she dragged it right back here, okay.
Yeah, because I didn't kill that one, but hey, she did. It's one off the list, you know?
Hey, yeah, no hard feelings. A dead demon's a dead demon.
It's like a jar with a super bad lid. Like, you got it most of the way there, and she just kind of gave it like the twist.
Yeah, it still feels bad.
Where is Malorax now?
I'm not sure. Hazel said that she can't really like summon Malorax at will or anything, so I was talking with Jim about how to do that with magic circles and runes and that kind of thing. So that's the idea, is to trap it. Ileana said the demon had to be alive, at least at the start, and then not alive. So we're going to summon it, trap it, and then kill it.
That tracks. That all tracks. Okay. Totally on board to do whatever that is. Not to, like, drop too much news on you, but seems like City Hall is also, by the way, planning a huge tower in Lennox Spire, and I think it's gonna remove all of the magic in the city, maybe. So we want to, like, do these in the right order.
Well, Hazel said that she had like a 72-hour deadline, and at least a day has passed, so big time crunch on that one. When I was talking to Jim, though, he said that those crystals that Rex has been importing, they amplify magic.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whose magic is going to be amplified and to what means, but definitely Lennox Spire, bad news. Definitely a weird demon chaos portal thing.
Okay. One thing at a time. Let's finish this shit up. Let's knock another demon off the list. Let's go get our friends. Let's get the show on the road, okay? Let's go.
And before I forget, Jim gave me your equipment that you left.
Oh shit. I'll take it back, and I guess you get the sense that it's like a strangely vulnerable moment where I put it back around my neck, and it's like a mother almost like feeling bad about her baby, like, oh my god, how did I forget you? And she's like checking all of the panels and parts, and like, oh good, the film in it hasn't been exposed or anything, like, we're good.
When you take off the lens cap of the camera, you find that there is a note on a small piece of paper that someone has taped to the inside. The note says, "Hey kiddo, keep this safe. I think it'll come in handy. Jay."
No, I'll never part with it again.
Do you have any interest, Roman, in telling Susan about Ileana, like, taking Kitty's powers? Because Susan doesn't know about that. Is there stuff you're choosing not to disclose?
I will tell her, like, everything. I will run her through all of the events of the last, like, 6 hours.
Susan's gonna sit down
Okay.
on the porch.
Okay.
You tell me that it was like on fire and flooded and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the details of, like, the entire details of the report also.
So the man in the picture with the arc, do you think that's Edward?
I mean, I can only assume that's who that is.
When I was talking with Hazel, she said that she dug up Edward's body that was buried in the park. So this whole thing has Rex all over it.
I fear a lot of people will be in danger if we don't start acting fast. You see Roman maybe trying to take on a bit more of your natural role to, like, help you out a little bit, just so you have, like, just maybe an iota less to stress over.
Susan, the weight of the sense of obligation and duty that she feels for the denizens of the park and of the city, of her park and her city, have driven her to this isolated sort of general position as the women show up. Some of them are tired. Some of them have shirked their regular other community duties to come in because Susan has insisted that they come and help her today on this project that's, top priority. And she's directing them pretty severely. And Roman, you're trying to help run around and wrangle these women as they do some home repair for the first time. And it is Nancy, Roman, who calls your attention because Susan is sitting on the porch steps and doesn't seem to want to talk to anyone, who pulls away a creaky board beneath the porch that connects to the foundation of the Natural Society. And it's behind that board that you help her pry out of the slightly damp foundation of the building to see a glimmer of smooth white stone, somehow untarnished with dirt or moss or age. This block of stone with a shallow divot carved into it, sitting in between the timbers of the foundation of the Naturalist Society, somehow almost softly glowing as though lit by its own internal power source. And Nancy looks at you and she smiles. Nox and Kitty, you had a tumultuous night also at Resort Pines. The resortest pines in all the land, at the place. We can skip ahead to the next morning, or we can be in the nighttime still. Depends on what you guys want to do.
I want to interrogate Philip as to what was going on.
Okay. I would imagine you might bring him back to Philip and Kitty's cabin.
Yeah.
Okay. He goes willingly. He's not upset with either of you, although he feels, of course, very intense and frightened after the events that he witnessed, and he also feels quite badly. You can see Kitty, his normal, confident, manly posture is a little bit bent and drooping and crushed. His hands are trembling slightly as he fiddles with his pockets, and you sort of half, march him sternly because you have a lot of questions, but also gently bring him back to his home because he looks like he's once again, totally crumpled after maybe a few days where he was feeling so warm and so generous and so loving and so kind and so sweet. Once again, you see this man who is clearly just haunted by whatever terrors have plagued him for the past 2 or 3 months.
I'm definitely good cop in contrast to Nox's.
Well,
whatever.
You haven't seen how I'm approaching the situation.
Okay, how are you approaching the situation?
Don't worry. Nox is about to turn on the fucking charm in episode 16. So you bring Philip into the cabin, the single light fixture above the dining room table blinks to life as you sit him down. Kitty, I think you start brewing a pot of coffee, and Nox, you look down appraisingly at this man who I suppose you maybe saw in passing once or twice, but who you now know to be Kitty's husband. He has, a cut across his face, dried blood down the side of his eye. He is just wearing his shirt sleeves and trousers, and he just, you just saved him from a scrape with Rex's magically enhanced enforcer goon, so he's a wreck. I mean, what do you want to do with this poor man?
Well, I guess I haven't even met him. Philip, pleasure to meet you. The name's Nox. I've heard a lot about you. Are you doing okay? Can I get you a drink or anything in your own home?
Philip drums his fingers on the edge of the table, and when you offer to get him anything, a shadow of his former hospitality and grace revive behind his eyes, and he looks up and he says, "Oh no, I'm quite all right, thank you." But he looks up and he gazes at you, Nox, and his forehead furrows, his brows knit together, and he is struggling to find the words. And then he kind of just blurts it out. He says, "Why did you save my life?"
I'm not too sure about that. I'm hoping that you're going to be able to enlighten me as to if it was a good course of action or not. What was going on there?
I'm sure you recognize that man based on what Kitty has told me that you've been up to these past few weeks. It was one of Rex's henchmen.
You got something in your throat there?
No, that's just how that's pronounced. You've come into my cabin. I'm really running with Philip pronounces things in unusual ways as a class signifier.
Yes, I'm quite familiar. What I'm not familiar with is why he would be after you. Is it because of Kitty? What's going on?
No, it's because of my I'm sure Kitty has told you, but I used to work in the mayor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the mayor and Rex have a partnership of sorts, and after I decided to leave my position, the mayor was sent here to kill me, okay? What else do I need to tell you? Do I need to spell it out?
Yes.
The mayor had Rex send his henchmen to come and give me the old snuff.
Yeah, but why? What do you know? Why you need silencing? What's so important about you?
I'm Philip Yanakis.
I've had about enough of these Yanakises, I'll tell you what.
Hey.
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 Because the mayor doesn't want anyone who has worked in her office to abdicate their position, she demands total fealty, and anything less is punishable by death.
I guess I'll just ask him outright. I don't know if this is like a move. I just want to know like what it is that he's not sharing.
There is a move called figure someone out.
Yeah.
That's the move that you just said.
Yeah, I recall us doing a move that was akin to, say, figuring someone out.
You need to roll with mind.
I got a 9. I -1 on mind.
So you can ask 2 questions from the figure someone out list, and Philip can ask 1 of you.
All right, listen, Philip. I don't think we have time to do whatever this little dance that you're doing is. What's going on? What are you hiding? I mean, you already were about to be fucking a fiery wreck not 5 minutes ago, and now for some reason, all of a sudden, your tongue's tied.
I appreciate your concern and your preference for urgency. It's just not very easy. These last few months have been very intense. I'm not a psychic, nor do I have demonic abilities, so you have to understand that I've been trying to process a rapid volume of information in a very tight timeline while trying to keep my loved ones safe, and it has been difficult for me. But I will say this, that the mayor's office is intending to enact some policy changes in Lakeshore, which will have a debilitating effect on many of the citizens of the city. I was not in favor of such a course of action, and because of that, I chose to exile myself from the mayor's office and incurred her wrath. He tells you the plan. Philip describes a plan set in motion by Mayor Evelyn Graham of the city of Lakeshore. Jillian pulls out her note paper and begins to write it down. Philip describes the mayor's increasing... Well, actually, because it's Philip, I think he injects it with a lot of, like, personal color and, like, ties into how he's still, like, a good person, even though, like, he got mixed up in some bad stuff. I don't want to suggest that he gives you the facts cleanly and coldly, because Philip Yanakis is not capable of that by a long shot.
Okay.
I think what he tells you, as Kitty, you take a seat across from him and hand him his cup of coffee and grab his hand, his shaking cold hand, to keep him steady as he recounts his tale, is that he was very excited when he was hired as a staffer in the mayor's office, partly due to Kitty's frequent visions guiding his political careers, getting him to network with the right people, be in the right places at the right times, and propel him to a state of political success in Lakeshore. And he describes that the mayor is an incredibly intelligent, powerful, calculating woman who at first seemed to have a very clear vision for a prosperous and thriving future in Lakeshore. She is a woman who is deeply fascinated by developing technology, about new innovations that can improve the quality of life in the city. And as Philip gained more power in the office, as he was privy to more and more classified documentation and meetings, it was clear that the mayor was obsessed with one thing above all: magic. She had a prodigious capability for magic already, and as Philip was assigned shortly after joining the mayor's office, she was interested in researching the amplification effects of crystals that could be imported to Lakeshore from south of the border. Philip at first thought this was okay. I mean, his own wife was magic after all. How bad could this be? She's an upstanding, beautiful young woman. So Philip got down and got to work. He and Edward were asked to commission a machine called the Archaeological Radiance Quantifier from an inventor named Angela Whitcomb. They were set to conduct measurements of magical ability and to isolate and identify areas of great magical effect in the city, including Fairmont Park, including some spots in the north end of the city and downtown. And they learned more and more as time went on, as the day grew closer of the Lakeshore exhibition, of the unveiling of Lennox Spire, that Mayor Graham intended to use these crystals not just to amplify her own power or those of her allies, but to control and regulate the flow of magic throughout Lakeshore entirely. Philip doesn't know anything about magic. He's done his research now as part of his job, but going into it, all he knew was that his wife would sometimes close her eyes and seem to have an uncanny ability to predict what was about to happen next. But that was the extent of his interaction with those kinds of things. And as he began to struggle to make sense of what was going on, he realized that the mayor wanted to some degree, subjugate and control all of the citizens that have access to magic for her own gain. He's not quite sure how she intends to do that, to what end. It involves an understanding of magic that's beyond him, but as soon as he realized what was going on, he began to grow frightened and he began to worry for the safety and sanctity of his wife. And there was a moment, a defining moment for Philip Yanakis, when after a heated meeting, after a few days of a report being delivered and discussion being had about the future of the project, the mayor called Edward Cook and Philip Yanakis into her office, and Philip watched as Edward was killed by Rex Lemaire. A demon appeared, grabbed Edward's body, and vanished without a trace to parts unknown. From that moment on, Philip knew his only goal was to cut his ties with the mayor's office and escape the city as quickly as he could. But he was thrown a curveball when his wife decided she was having some personal issues and needed to leave their apartment and reduce the time she spent with her husband. He was unsure exactly how to carry himself, how to help Kitty while still respecting her independence. But as the situation in the city got worse, as he read reports in the newspaper of erupting sulfuric smoke and demonic horns at the Drake Casino, at people seeing swooping creatures flying overhead in Fairmont Park, he began to put on a show of working hard in the mayor's office, spending long nights there, secretly working to gather as much information as he could until it was safe to leave, until the day that his wife Kitty came back, claiming that she had no magic powers at all. Instead of divulging the entirety of what he knew, Philip considered this to be a miraculous sign of destiny, that Kitty was safe, she was in no danger because she had no magic, and this was the moment for the whole family to escape, to flee the city limits as far as they possibly could, to catch their breath and plan their next move and let Lakeshore sink into the sea, or the lake rather, for all he cared, as long as his family, his wife, and his daughter were safe.
Philip, you've tried to protect me. If you had told me all of that days ago, perhaps we would have figured that Mickey would come after you. We could have come up with a better solution. I wouldn't have wanted to come out of town if I knew that Rex could follow you, because he can follow you here. His goons don't stop at the city limits.
I thought I was small enough to get out from under the mayor's thumb. I thought she had enough things to worry about that she might let me go. I was so careful. I hid every scrap of where we were going. I locked the apartment door behind us, and I thought, if anything, we would have Kitty. I just wanted a couple of days to figure out what to do next. I thought I could buy us at least that much time, and as you said yourself, if you knew what was going on, you wouldn't have wanted to come. And then where would I have been?
I would have taken you where I think we ought to go now, which is back into the city, into Fairside, where there are people who know what's happening and can defend us and who can do something about all these plans.
Kitty, I understand that you put great stock in the friends that you've made in your time in Fairside, but I've heard your story. I've heard of the wounds that you've suffered, the attacks, the betrayals, the mistakes. You mean to tell me that You think you can stand up against the combined efforts of Rex Lemaire, his entire network, and the mayor herself? Kitty.
Running didn't work, so we ought not to.
Who made you so brave, Kitty Yanakis? Roman and Susan, what's next?
Working hard at this magical circle, I guess, right? Like, maybe throughout the course of us working, maybe now Roman is like, she seems like she's being a little bit cold to me. But we don't have the time to address it right at the second.
I would want to ask you, what is the plan when Hazel shows up, and what's the plan when Ileana eventually shows up? Because that's kind of the next two beats of this, I think.
I guess I need to know, like, where Ileana wants to do the big sacrifice. That's maybe item number one, because my plan is to... I'm going to try the small circle. We're going to do both things.
Okay.
We're going to do both things.
Concentric circles.
Yeah. So we're going to try to summon Malorax with the small magic circle with the special Malorax runes. And we're also going to make the whole park the circle with the orb magic, because that's cool. So that if Malorax breaks out of the small circle, it's not a big deal, because it won't get too far. And I think it would be incentivizing for Malorax to stay in the circle if the circle was surrounded by like a moat of water that could be used to like splash it at any moment, thanks to my good pal Roman.
Right. Okay, so we're now at this point where like circle is pretty made and Ileana and Hazel are gonna start ushering in soon. Roman will indeed take a corruption and create a big ass moat.
Maybe the girls, the ladies of the Natural Society, have helped you like dig a trench around where this circle is, because like Roman's just doing the water part.
Yeah.
And it's good to have them like help out. And Roman stands at the edge, and she feels the pull of the roiling waters of the pond on the western edge of Fairmont Park. And she extends her right hand and curls her fingers in, and can feel like the water table below the ground start to swell and transform. And then from the bottom of this trench, water just starts to pool up like a natural spring, cold, crisp, and clear, and surrounding the circle of runes that Susan has chalked into the ground in the middle. When Hazel and Ileana do show up, they both look like shit. Hazel has been attempting to resist her demonic orders given by Malorax, which, as she told Susan, causes her to suffer physically as she attempts to avoid returning to the Drake Casino. When you see her, she's wearing big sunglasses to cover her sleepless eyes. Her skin is sort of ashy and has patchy rashes all over it, where you can see the scales are starting to break through, but she's trying to will them down. It's almost bringing on an involuntary transformation. It's not a cute summer look. There are like nubs and welts at her temples where the horns are trying to break through. She didn't get to bring her clothes back from her penthouse apartment, so she is wearing like a paint splattered shirt that Roman keeps around her room and some rolled up old trousers. And, you know, it's a complete stark contrast from the glamorous lounge singer that you saw at the Drake Casino like 5 days ago. She rolls up and she looks appraisingly at the circle and at the moat and at you, Susan, and at you, Roman, and she says, "You think this is gonna work?"
You look like you'll try anything.
You got me pegged, sister.
Susan looks appraisingly at the moat and the magic circle. And she looks at you, Roman. I think she takes one of your hands.
Oh no.
I have something to ask of you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for the moat. I think that will be very helpful, but here's the thing. This circle probably won't hold. So, Jim gave me this orb, and it will channel all of the ley lines, the magic, in the park to create kind of the ultimate magic circle. But once that's all done, the orb has to be taken off the altar. And Jim doesn't know it's going to happen, but it's a lot of concentrated magic and power in this one spot. And I can't ask someone like Joan or Nancy to touch something like that, but I think you can handle it, and I think you owe me.
Roman obviously will do it. Maybe she a little bit bristles at the and I think you owe me. She's like, well, I would have done it if you just asked. But she'll take the orb in her hands and is just like I said, it's your show, just tell me what to do.
Yeah, I give you the instructions for what to do with the orb.
Awesome. It's all on me, coach. Okay, let's do this thing before I chicken out.
Roman, as you head north with the orb away from the magic circle and back toward the Naturalist Society building, a flash of something glittering and gleaming catches your eye. On the opposite end, the south end of the park, stepping forward through the brush, is your Fey matriarch, Ileana, who you haven't seen in some time, and the last thing she did to you is steal your sister's superpowers, so that's kind of a bit of a bummer. She normally dresses, fairly glamorously and fairly to the period. She often likes to participate in the festivals of Polish and Ukrainian heritage that are common in the diaspora population in Fairside. So she's often wearing costumes that have really intricate embroidered flowers of reds and blues on them. But it seems like she's dressed to head home today. She is wearing a strange garment that seems to be woven through with silver and mirrored thread. As you watch, the evening light of the falling sun plays across her arms and her bodice and sort of sends disco balls haven't been invented yet because disco hasn't been invented yet, but these shimmers are just kind of reflecting and refracting off her and kind of painting all the foliage around her with this miasma of silvery light that's just beautiful to behold. You've never seen her look so radiant, and the way she's done her hair and the pigments she's applied to her face give her this even more than usual otherworldly, transcendent appearance as she steps forward and she begins to survey the scene. Behind her, Elliot Darcy, her sort of favorite mortal plaything, is carrying a basket of wildflowers and tossing them after her in this sort of weird inverted bridal moment situation. And if all goes well, Roman, this will be the last time you see her.
Darcy, you're not going with her?
Darcy says, she's taking me with her. I'm the lucky one.
With a surprising amount of warmth, Roman cups his face and is like, you really are. And she takes Ileana's hands in hers the way that Ileana has done so many times. I know you hear this 1,000 times a day, Ileana, but I really did love you.
I loved you too, dear. Be well. You turn on your heel and you walk away through the grass. When you get to the porch of the Naturalist Society, you duck underneath, pull away that loose board that Nancy had propped up, and you find this big white stone altar with a divot in it. You hold on to this grapefruit-sized orb that Susan has handed you. It's carved with these intricate runes that seem similar to the ones you've seen on guns and name tags in the past. You're starting to get fed up with this runic energy that seems to be dominating your life. And maybe with a deep breath of resignation and determination, you take this orb, you place it on the rune. Nothing seems to happen. Everything feels normal, but a kilometer south in the forest, things start to pick up. Hazel is kneeling in the center of this magic circle, surrounded on all sides by this moat. Opposite, sort of parallel to her, but outside of the circle, Ileana is performing her own ritual with her own form of magic, which tends to take the mannerisms of herbs, flowers, natural ingredients. It's a lot more, it feels a lot more sort of druidic, I would say, Ileana's stylings, as opposed to this very sort of Latinate inscribing of words in chalk on a circle. So these kinds of parallel and dissonant forms of magic ritual are happening at the same time and sort of bumping together and weaving, and colored light is starting to flicker in the air. Hazel rests on her hands on all fours, and as she lets loose a kind of low, pained groan, a cloud of sulfuric smoke bubbles forth from the circle, and the demon Malorax appears, a huge, long, jet-black, coiled serpent, maybe as tall as an elephant and twice as long, has twin barbed tails that split and extend from its back. One has barbs that burst and flicker with sparks of bright flame. The other has barbs that crackle and hiss with the sound of electricity. This giant serpent looks down on Hazel and she says, "Go!"
How are we going to get back to the city?
Do you have a car? No, you don't. It's a fiery ball.
I noticed, yes. I should really take that into the shop, see what they can do to my fiery ball.
Nice. Shop? Is there a shop nearby?
Unlikely. I chose this location because of how remote it was and how hard to access I thought it would be. The next town isn't for another 25 minutes driving.
I don't think that, like, I know that I kind of had done the carry thing there in that fight, but I don't think that's sustainable. I can't, like, fly them into this.
Yeah, you can't, like, fly a full 3-person family.
As funny as that would be.
Can I just, like, ask the front desk?
Yeah, that's absolutely for sure. And the front desk of the resort is staffed by, actually, it's like a very sort of like bitter old woman who you get the sense she is just running this resort because it like pays for her like mortgage, but she doesn't really like doing it. She just kind of is like, I just want to faff around and have no one ever bother me with any problems, but people constantly have problems to bother her with. She is like definitely early 70s. She is kind of a butch lady. She's got like short cropped hair and she's wearing a button-down shirt rolled up to the elbow, and she is on the phone at the front desk with a repair place or like a towing service, and she's like, "What do you mean you don't service out this far? Who's gonna take this car wreck away? Someone's gotta move it. Well, who's next? Who's next to you in the phone book, buddy? Because I'm gonna call them and give them my slice of business that I would have given to you if you weren't such a uptight fucking." Oh, hi, miss. Sorry, how can I help you?
Unfortunately, overnight, something happened to our car and we have to get back to the city as soon as possible. Is there anything that can be done?
She gestures to the phone and she says, "Well, I says it's gonna be 2 business days before we even get a tow truck down here to take this. Were you driving some kind of junker? Were you like doing speed drag racing out in the streets at night? What happened? Why did I wake up at 4 a.m. to see 2 burning out car wrecks right in front of my resort? You tell me about that, ma'am."
Just as shocked as you are, I was sleeping in bed. I woke up to hear a sound and there was my car and another car that I must have been some, I don't know who's here at this time, but maybe there are some kids who got up to no good. You know, kids always up to no good.
Kitty uses trustworthy face.
Kitty throws kids under the bus.
Children in general as a concept.
Single-handedly, just the concept. She like could help you. It's going to be a lot of work for her. I think you are going to need to offer her something really good and or persuade her as per the move, because she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, I'm already dealing with this shit that you're causing."
I didn't cause the shit. It was kids.
It was the kids. The kids did it. You gotta believe me.
Yeah, so I'm persuading an NPC.
I should think so.
7.
7? And your persuasion is like, "Please help me get out of this," and you're kind of just going for like, "Please, I'm just like a lady down on her luck."
Well, I'm going for I am your customer. I'm paying you for a service.
Well, I'm sure you didn't pay for the free car service included in this rental resort. Absolutely not.
I can.
Well, you want to offer money?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's a very kitty answer to this problem, frankly. Kitty, I think you sort of like purse your lips and like open your handbag and pull out like a small unmarked brown envelope that you keep in there when like situations arise that might need a little bit of smoothing over. And you kind of gently slide it across the countertop, and Judy raises an eyebrow and looks down, and she snatches it up quickly and rifles through its contents, and she tosses it under the desk of the reception center, and she says, "You know, Judy just had an idea. She loves the third person, referring to herself and such. It's good for her self-esteem. We are gonna offer our first ever luxury car service at this resort, and I would be just honored if you would be our first customer.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate this.
She rummages in a tin can that is sitting out on the shelf that is full of like random nuts and bolts and odds and ends. And she reaches in and she pulls out what looked like a key ring with some car keys on it. And she says, "Please, if you could gather your things and follow me to our luxury departure area."
Let me just gather the rest of my family, and we'll be there in just a minute.
You grab Nox and Philip and Betty, who pack up their luggage. Not Nox, because he came here with the clothes on his back, not even his lighter. And Judy leads you from the front of the reception cabin down like a dirt path that leads a little bit off the cabin area and kind of closer to the water. And she leads you to this sort of picnic area where, parked in the shade of some old beech trees and looking like they've been parked for a very long time, is a rusted dark red pickup truck. And Judy, it's a fucking clunker. It's like a few notches above Philip's flaming ball. And she turns to you with a big toothy grin and she says, "Look, I'll even throw in the keys for free." And she tosses the keys at you. She says, "It starts, don't give me that look." She wrenches with like a loud squeak the door of the pickup truck open, and she shows you where she's cannily cut out a hole so you can manually work the ignition of the car. And she says, "I think if you find all the scraps, there's probably a seatbelt here too."
All right. Let's go.
You guys throw your luggage in the flatbed of the truck along with Betty, because it only seats two, and I think the three of you are going to have to cramp up into the sort of, it's just like a driver's like bench, just like fully one long seat between the driver and the passenger. It's that kind of moment. And it's like Philip crammed between Kitty and Nox. I guess Philip would drive unless anyone else has delusions of driving ability.
I don't know if I should drive, because Philip's kind of going through it right now, and I'm feeling a little bit more up to it than I think he might.
I love Kitty driving this clunker. Kitty, you push Philip out of the driver's seat and slide in next to him and activate the ignition in the licentious and lewd manner in which Judy instructed you. And the truck gargles and belches to life. Heavy smoke spews out of its tailpipe. Betty starts coughing in the flatbed of the truck as she has built like a little fortress of luggage around her. And Philip says, "This thing might be worse than what we were driving, than what we have to work with in the parking lot."
At least it starts. And I hit the gas and go.
Yeah, Kitty, you set it into drive. You ease up on the gas and you head clunking, billowing, belching smoke and rattling down the highway into Lakeshore. We cut back to the Naturalist Society, or nearabouts, as this ritual is underway and this demon Malorax has appeared. As soon as it's appeared, I imagine, Susan, you give your signal.
Yeah, what is Ileana like told me to do? She said it needs to like be alive and then not alive.
Yeah, the key thing for Ileana's ritual is just that like when it dies, it just has to be like in the ritual spot, which is why like her killing a demon that she like found a few days ago when she wasn't doing the ritual, it doesn't count. I think Joan and Nancy draw their guns respectively. Joan still has her arm bound up in a sling from the last demon run-in she had a few days ago, and unfortunately, as she steps back and tries to anchor herself and get her shot on, she stumbles a little bit and the shot goes wide. Atypically, Nancy has been practicing and studying and heading out with Joan night after night. She has her feet shoulder width apart, the gun forward, hands planted around the grip. She closes her eyes, aims her shot, and fires a bullet decisively into the side of Malorax, which screams. One of its tails, the split tail, the barbed electric one, lashes around, and before Hazel can even get to her feet, it connects with her bodily, and you can hear a crackle and the smell of singeing hair and flesh. She is thrown. She is knocked clear out of the magic circle over the moat and lands in the brush with a snap not too far away from Joan. Joan screams and lowers her gun and steps over to find and support Hazel as this demon thrashes and begins to charge and feel and press against the edge of the magic circle that's binding it. What do you do, Susan?
I shoot it, obviously.
Yeah, why don't you roll to unleash an attack?
Give me something good! 8.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, I think you are going to face some backlash from this a little bit. Either they're going to inflict harm on you, or you're going to find yourself in a bad spot.
But also I want to inflict terrible harm.
Okay.
So I'm using my big gun.
Natch.
And let me tell you, this gun is powerful as heck. It regularly does 3 harm. And I have a move, Deadly, where when you inflict harm, increase the harm by 1. So that's 4. And I want to inflict terrible harm, so I'm gonna do 5 harm.
Holy shit.
Damn.
I'm fine if it inflicts harm on me.
I would love to ask you to give me some flavor. Give me some description of this big moment for Susan.
Susan, like never before, is full of this single-minded determination that she has never had before. She has an overwhelming amount of knowledge of all the chaos and destruction that is happening or planned in the city. So all that she can think about is crossing another one off the list. Her aim is true, her grip is steady, and she just fires.
Yeah, I think it's almost like a really intense sight to behold for Nancy and for Joan and for Hazel somewhere in the weeds, that like this thing sees you cock your gun and take your deadly aim, and I think it lashes out with its other tail, the fiery tail, with like a long sweep that just manages to cover the edge of the moat, and a huge like roiling wave of extreme heat and smoke and fire blows forward onto the grass. And I think, Susan, that you want this shot, you want the exact shot that you want, the no scope 360 headshot, and you just stand there as this fire rolls forward, deals you 2 harm. You can feel the leather of your jacket buckle and start to burn into your skin, the intensity of it rolling up your arms and your shoulders, but you keep your limbs locked, level, and steady as you take your shot and fire.
Yeah, she stands her ground. Like she said to Jim, it kind of doesn't matter what happens to her. The demons just have to go down. So
I think after it launches this wave of fire at you and it sees you still standing there, with Hazel having been like cleared physically from the circle, its ability to be contained there is sort of altered because its charge is now on the outside of the circle, and it starts to coil and uncoil and stretch itself out. You can see it reacts with distaste and disgust as its body like slithers and parts of its like body droop into this moat that you've carved, and it doesn't like it. It's like hissing nastily. I think it's going to race straight for you, and it's going to rear up and come down and I think strike at you just with some good old fangs, Susan.
Well, I want to shoot it again. I don't want it to get to attack me.
Okay, roll to unleash an attack.
It's a 9.
Okay.
I would like to deal it another 5 harm.
Of course you would. And on a 7 to 9, you're gonna have to choose one other effect.
Yeah, I'm fine to be in a bad spot.
Okay. Let me offer you this. This thing rears down and goes for another strike, expecting you to collapse under the wave of its like fiery, spiky tail attack. But you stand firm, Susan, and as it lunges down, I think you are able to get a pretty decisive headshot. I think this thing's head goes the way of the dinosaurs when they were struck in the head by a giant comet or whatever. That one got away from me a little bit, but you know what I mean. And yeah, you see the bullet pierce the roof of this thing's mouth between its fangs, and it exit up the front near its brain, and it lets loose a high, keening, sort of rattling, animalistic scream that then gets cut off, and this thing slumps in the smoldering, still firing grass. You're sort of standing, I think, in a clear patch. You know that like Buster Keaton thing or whatever, where like the front of the house totally like falls down and he's standing where the door is and it just like lands all around him. This is like massive coils of demon snake landing all around you and stamping out like the fire that's erupting through the black oak savanna of Fairmont Park. And at this time, you see, now that your vision is unobstructed by a giant snake demon, across the moat, Ileana is ready to conduct her ritual. She pulls from her belt a silver sheening dagger, and she grabs Elliot Darcy by the shoulder and with a gentle kiss on his cheek slits his throat and pushes his body down onto the... Well, come on. She told you in episode 1 she was going to sacrifice a human. I don't know how this would be a surprise for you. She pushes him down, and as his blood drains onto the area that she's created and into the moat, kind of mingling with the waters of the pond, you can see in the center of this sort of island, the air is like thin and shimmering, like you're watching heat roil up from a hot piece of pavement. And then she draws her dagger, and it's as though she's cutting the very air itself. And you can see reality curl in at the seams. It's actually an incredibly terrifying sight for a mortal whose limited experience with magic does not include anything like this. The fabric of existence itself is being severed and repurposed for Ileana's will as she carves this sort of doorway, and from it just pours like effulgent, incandescent, effervescent golden bubbles and beams and splashes of light that trickle out like a waterfall and bathe the area in this golden glow like you've never seen before, Susan. And the snake all around you, the demon, starts to bubble and melt into the same sticky black tar-like blood that now has stained a path, maybe permanently, in front of the Naturalist Society porch. Globules and sections of the body start to lift away, start to melt into smoke, and get sucked into this doorway as this demon's body is sort of recalled to Arcadia from whenceforth it came. Ileana steps forward. She crosses the flowing water of the moat seamlessly, as though she has walked upon water her entire life, and she crosses in front of the doorway. Susan, you feel as this demon starts to kind of press forward, and more parts of it start to like float up. It's pressing against you. You're sort of caught up in the flow of magic as this demon's body that completely surrounds you is pulling you towards this doorway. What do you do? Joan is going to stand up. She is going to cast down her gun in the grass, and she is going to attempt to run and make a flying like leap over the moat to knock you out of the weight of this like magical tractor beam that is pulling you into another dimension. For you, Susan, I am going to ask you to escape a situation as you like try to get to Joan and get her to get you out of here.
Okay. Roll plus blood. Thank God. Great. Okay, that's an 11.
Okay.
I'm good at this.
You are good at escaping things. That's very much your thing. So you're going to choose one consequence for escape a situation.
Again, I haven't been marking very much corruption in this game, so I want to use the last one. Give into your base nature and mark corruption.
What? How do you see that coming into play in this situation?
I think it's that focus, right? I've been talking about. It's just all this like power and rage and focus that's honestly unnatural. I think it is just flowing through me, and I want it to ground me in this world.
As the hunter who is so dedicated to fighting demons, who is so dedicated to like their purpose and getting their job done, your corruption move is to like put a mortal in harm's way.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like something here where the version of this where you are taking corruption.
Yeah.
I wonder if it involves you harming Joan somehow in order to get out of this.
Yeah, it's in the same way I think that I let the fire hit me to get the shot. I let her take the hit.
That's very much, that sort of like single-mindedness, that dogged devotion, that sort of like recklessness.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that case, I think you call out for Joan as these like chunks of the snake are starting to peel off and fly into this portal. Ileana is rapidly becoming a sort of glowing silhouette as the last of Elliot Darcy's blood drains from his throat and spills into the moat all around you. It's hard to even see or like know what's happening with this flood of searing golden light and the shadowy smoke of this decomposing demon, but suddenly around your shoulder you feel Joan's arm as she's trying to grab you and sort of lift you up the bulk of this demon's body and pull you to safety. You are weakened. You've been ravaged by fire. Now as the adrenaline is kind of flooding and you're lowering your gun as this demon is dead, you can feel like the searing pain as it just like makes every single nerve ending in your body sing, and you allow Joan to kind of pull you up, almost drag you over the top of this creature. And as you're looking up, you can still feel this kind of suction, this pull on your legs. You're not quite out of the storm yet. You can feel that you're almost trying to slide towards this portal on one end, and Joan's mortal strength is keeping you tethered to this world on the other. And as you look up into the blurry forest canopy, golden tinted, smoky, with sunset light spilling across, you can see behind Joan the huge electric spiked tail of this massive snake demon has fallen away and is flying towards the portal. And you know if she lets you go to save herself that you are going to be sucked into this portal before you have a chance to fight it off. So Susan Starling, you bite your lip and you say nothing, and you watch as Joan screams as this tail smashes into her back, and the two of you are both flung far into the grass, not too far from where Hazel fell, as the rest of this demon, in a faster exponential entropy universe destroying moment, just flies through this portal, and suddenly the golden light fades. Ileana is nowhere to be seen. Elliot's dead body drags a listless hand in the water of the moat. You can hear the sounds of Hazel's labored unconscious breathing in the grass behind you, and Joan crying silently, sniffling as tears pour down her cheeks as she experiences intense pain. You lie there in the grass, feeling nothing, feeling triumph of a job well done, and you close your eyes as the sun sets on Fairmount Park. Thanks for listening to episode 16. Things are definitely getting hot in Lakeshore. We'll be back on September 15th, and now check out this message from our friends over at the Lucky Die.
You see, looking up from the ground, blood-red clouds boiling across the sky.
You did ask me to bring the thunder.
Agent! Help! I've got the chalice, please!
Well, if they're following you, then I guess that takes care of a loose end for me.
All of you feel the earth beneath you shake and crack and break.
I feel that I have failed both of you, and I am sorry for that.
This has nothing to do with you being a bad leader.
Do you want a countdown? Oh, I think I want a countdown.
I wanted
3,
to help. I always had good
2,
intention. I
1.
did not deserve to die.
Now.
The Lucky Die podcast is a weekly 5e Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast. Join our adventure every Monday wherever you download podcasts by searching for The Lucky Die.